Hey, welcome to Church Experience. Thank you so much for spending part of your weekend with us. Now's a great time to grab your pens and weeklies and head to your seats if you haven't already, because the service starts in 90 seconds.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. We're so excited about today's service. We believe this could be the best and most impacting hour of your week. Throughout the service, you may have some questions, comments, prayer requests, so go to churchexperience.tv/connect or pull out your camera app and hit up our QR code to connect with us. Or, you know what, better yet, if you always want to know what's going on here at CE, just hit that subscribe button right here. We would love to hear from you, get back to you, and be praying for you. We're ready to dive in, so would you stand with me as we sing some songs of worship to Jesus?
It's your heart we're searching for. We want you, nothing more. Let your glory fill this place. We're alive in your presence. It's your heart we're searching for. We want you, nothing more. Let your glory fill this place. We're alive in your presence. We surrender all to you. Do what you want to. Do what you want to. God, we love to say your word. Do what you want to. Do what you want to.
We're clearing off the surface. You're coming into focus. We're going back to the basics. The glory of your face is the reason why we do this. The winds of worship blowing, the doors of heaven open. Jesus, you're at the center. Lord, help us to remember the reason why we do this. Yes, it's all about you. Yes, it's all about you. Always has been, always will be. All about you, all about you. Our priorities are changing, and we remember why you made us. Yeah, we're all sons and daughters, just dancing with our Father. It's not that complicated. Yeah, yes, it's all about you. Yes, it's all about you. Always has been, always will be. All about you, all about you. Yes, it's all about you. Yes, it's all about you. Always has been, always will be. All about you, all about you. Every story of impossible miracles, it's all about you. Every story of a prodigal coming home, it's all about you. Every story of revival that I know, it's all about you. Your kingdom's all about lives changed, empty graves. It's all about you. Every story of impossible miracles, it's all about you. Every story of a prodigal coming home, it's all about you. Every story of revival that I know, it's all about you. Your kingdom's all about lives changed, empty graves. It's all about you. Jesus, it's all about you. Jesus, it's all about you. Always has been, always will be. All about you, all about you. Yes, it's all about you. Jesus, it's all about you. Always has been, always will be. All about you, all about you. Always has been, always will be. All about you, all about you. Always has been, always will be. All about you, all about you. Will you pray with me? Dear Heavenly Father, in Psalms you tell us to be still and know that you are God. And Lord, as we sing those words today, that our priorities are changing. Let us remember to set our priorities on you, Lord, above all else. Let us look towards you. Let us be still and know that you are our God. You can change everything. Everything can be changed by your power alone, Lord. And we just pray for your grace and your mercy on our lives, Lord. It's in your holy name we pray. Amen.
So a few weeks ago, myself and Larry and a few others, we all went to Colorado for a hike. And on Friday, we did a big hike. It was really cool. It was a men's retreat. But on the Thursday, we thought, let's do a little hike just before to kind of get your legs moving, get yourself going a bit. And so we asked the gentleman who kind of runs this thing, Ben, we said, well, listen, we want to go for a little hike. Perfect. He said, just go up this hill. There's a bit of a trail. And then after that, there's no trail, but keep left. And you'll eventually do like a bit of a loop. Take you about an hour and a half, and so it's not too strenuous, you don't need much. We're like, okay, cool. So we each just literally got a bottle of water and we started going. And we got horribly lost, like properly lost. But it was awesome. I kept saying to the gents, it was myself, Larry, and two gentlemen called Joshua, and we just kept getting lost, and we got more and more lost. And I want to show you this video that I put together of it that tracked us. You'll see there we go, and we looked like we're doing all right, and then we just kept going further and further away from where we're going. We end up going left and right all over. We get to the top, we go down this hill, but there's no paths here. Eventually, we're going even further away from where we're going. Eventually, we wanted to find this road, and so we found this road, and it was a bit long, but the funny thing was we knew which way was home. We knew the direction of home, but to kind of get there, we had to go further away because if we went left, we kind of knew we might get there, but it might take a bit longer, and so. The four of us kept on dialoguing which way is the best. Eventually, on the top of this hill, and we can see some houses and some roads down there, and we're thinking, okay, well, if we get that way, then hopefully it means that there's some cell phone signals, so then we can maybe phone and say, please meet us, and whatever. So we making new roads. There was no trails there, which was awesome. I loved it. But we get in there, and we get to the top of this hill, and there's a steep, like almost like mud. It almost looked like a mudslide. And so if you put 1 foot off, you're going to literally slide down. And I'm looking at this, going to these gentlemen and going, I don't think I will. Like this is a bit steep, and they're, no, we'll do it. So we eventually get down there. Eventually we find a road, and we kept on looking for cell phone signal. You know what it's like. Cell phone signal. Eventually we walk in, and Larry's phone starts vibrating. So there's obviously signal. So Ben phones us. Are you guys okay? Where are you? And Larry's like, I'm on the corner of, and he tells the street they're in. He's like, you're on a road? Like you left on a trail, now you're on a road? How does that work? And then he came and met us there. But I was thinking about that, and in terms of the series that we're in, this series that we're in, it's a journey. Our relationship with God, it's a journey. And sometimes we know the way, and sometimes we don't know the way. Sometimes we're going to be stretched, and sometimes we know. It's a journey that we're on. And so I encourage you, as we're on this journey, we don't do it alone, we do it together, and we follow this relationship that we have with Jesus. I love the fact that we get to do it together. We get to do it alone, but we get to do it as a community as well. And what a joy it is to have that relationship with Him as a community. I love the fact that we get to this. What a privilege it is that we can get to come to church and experience it with each other and help each other and just walk this journey with Him together. And so as you would know, the goal of the series for me is that we trust God more. We're in the series of mastering your time and money, and the goal was to trust God more. That is it. That's all I want for every single person here is to trust Him more. And I love you guys. I love it that some of you, as you know, I'm like Shrek. I don't have any layers. There's 0 layers here. What I'm thinking, I say. And some of you would have felt that it was a bit awkward for me. I struggled a little bit last week. Not because I'm talking about money, because I'll talk about whatever God asks me to talk about. I will share about it. Even if it's a contentious issue, I will share about it. But where I was feeling last week is that I know that this is such a hard topic for some. And I could feel that a topic like this can either bring people closer to God or push people further away. Because maybe you've been hurt in the past by a church. Maybe you've been hurt by I don't know, whatever, you've been hurt by this, and so now we're talking about it, okay, and so I could feel that last week. as a shepherd, I could feel that there could be some that are just like, oh, Warren, I don't know. And I could feel that. And to be honest, I never want to be in a stage where I don't feel that. Because I'm not up here just to do a few PowerPoint presentations, sign some Bibles and kiss some babies and then go on my merry way. That's not me. That's not me. I'm a shepherd, and I want to be a shepherd, and I want to hear what he's telling me to talk about, and I want to feel that. I want to feel it by us together. And so I know that this is hard for some of us because we've maybe been hurt in the past. But we're in this together. We're in this journey together. And sometimes we don't know the way. Which way do we go? Do we go left or right? I don't know, but I just know I didn't put sunscreen on. I don't have a hat, and I don't have a water, so which is the best way to get home? And so I get it. And so we're in this journey together. And I love the fact that we get to do it. And so last week we laid some foundations around, and today we're going to get going. And I could think of nowhere else to go than a treasure map. My surname is Blackbeard, and so I'm sure I love treasure maps more than most here. And so instead of reading the scripture, I want to show it to you. This is the scripture we're going to go to. I mentioned it last week. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also, from Matthew 6:21. Don't you love that? Don't you love that? The title of my message this morning is Something Worth Seeking. Something worth seeking. My boys always tell me they're at that age where it's like they want to talk about money all the time. Dad, if you got given $1 million, what would you do with it? But you've got 1 hour to spend it. I don't know if your kids have those conversations. Sure, okay, that's quite heavy. Okay, I'll talk about it. Okay, but Dad, you can't buy a house. What can you buy? What kind of car would you buy? What did you do this? I'm like, whoa. It'd be awesome if that happened, but but something worth seeking. That's where we're going to go. And I know that one of the hardest things in life to navigate is whether we know the decisions that we're making are good or not. It's hard because this decision that I'm making, is it going to be good or is it not going to be good? And that's some of the hardest things of I suppose adulting as well. Because when you're a child, like your decisions get made for you, but the older you get, you realize, I have to make my own decisions now. Wow, this is quite hectic. And so you also have to know, is the decision that I'm doing good? Is it good? How do you define what is good? Is it if it makes me happy? Is it if it makes my family happy? Is it maybe if it makes me ultimately happy? Maybe it's going to be tough initially, but it'll make me happy down the line. And so we have to determine what is good in our life. We have to determine the decisions that we make and whether it's for our benefit, if it's for the benefit of those around us. And so how do we measure what's good? How do we measure the decisions we're making? Or how do we measure if they're good or not? I love this verse because he's not saying that where your heart is, that's where you'll find it. It's saying your heart will always follow your treasure. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Spurgeon said it like that. Your heart will always follow your treasure. It always will. It always will. This comes from the Sermon on the Mount. It's probably the most popular, most well-read sermon that Jesus did from Matthew 5 to 7. And he basically talks about all things in Christian life. He talks about discipleship, living in the kingdom of God. He talks about the Christian life. He talks about all these type of things in the Sermon on the Mount. I love it. There's so much depth in there that maybe one day we'll get through it in a series or something. But there's so much in there. And right there in this part, in Matthew 6:21, this is where we find ourselves. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And this, if you look at it a bit higher, this surrounds this scripture is where Matthew's talking about the ultimate trust that we have should be in our Father. That's it, our ultimate trust. Like I said, our goal is to trust Him more. And so that's what he's talking about in this little part of the Sermon on the Mount, is that He should be our single object of trust. And so where is your trust? Do you know where do you put your trust in? Where is your treasure? If you look at this part in Scripture, which is fascinating, in Matthew 6:21, he's talking about us. It's singular. Where your treasure is. Where's my treasure? But if you look at the 2 verses before that, when he talks about yourselves, he says, do not store up yourselves treasures on earth. Do not store up yourself, but do store up treasures in heaven. He talks, it's plural. It's us. Don't store yourselves treasures on earth. He's talking about us as a community. But then he goes very singular, where your treasure is. So where's your treasure? Where's my treasure? Because where our treasure is, that's where our heart is going to be. That's what he's talking about there. Jen and I met online. For some of you that don't know, we met online before there was online dating. It's a long story. I'll bore you about it sometime. But I was in love with her from the day I met her. Even before I met her at prom for a first day, but we were talking for like 9-10 months before that. And I knew my treasure was there already. Do you know what I mean? I knew it. Be young in love, Wasn't it? I don't know what happened. No, I'm kidding. But where's our treasure? Do we know where our treasure is, friends? Do we know it? Do we know where our treasure is? There was this great theologian, John Wesley, who was around in the 1700s. And this is when he would talk about finances, he would say it like this. He would say, make all you can, save all you can, and give all you can. Sounds simple, doesn't it? Make all you can. Earn an honest living. I was speaking to a friend of mine this morning who said he's worked like 180 something hours this week. Make an honest living. Do it well. We should be, as a community, a church that works well, that provides well, that there's fruit. We're successful. We don't want to be lazy as a church. We must work hard. We must work hard. So make all you can. Do an honest living. Save all you can. Put money aside. Put money aside for other things. Save it. Invest it. Invest it into the future. Invest it into all these type of things. And save all you can. And then give all you can. Now, John Wesley, he was saying this because he's such a fascinating character to me. He would live on 28 pounds a year. And so when he was earning 30 pounds a year, he would give the extra 2 pounds to the church. When he started earning, because obviously his ministry just ballooned, and when he started earning 60 pounds a year, his expenses were still 28 pounds. He gave the rest to church. When he started earning 90 pounds, 100 pounds, he would still work on the same amount that he would give all the rest. And so earn what you can, save what you can, and then give all that you can. Give what you can. Now, I never want you to feel guilty by creating wealth, by being successful. Never feel guilty by that. I'll celebrate with you. You buy a new car, awesome. Like, can I come with you? Get a new toy, like a jet ski. Hey, I'm there. I only work Sunday. So if you want to go in the week, I'm happy to go on a jet ski with you. But let's celebrate it. Never feel guilty by the blessing of the wealth that God's given you. Never feel guilty here. Don't feel guilty. We celebrate it together. God's given us all different talents, very unique talents. And some of us, it might be stewarding wealth. Some of it might be something else. Something it might be investing in the future. Then the other in kids. There's all these different gifts and these talents that God has given us. And so never feel guilty by the wealth that you've created, but hold it loosely. Don't hold it tightly. Wealth, don't hold it tightly. One of my best friends in South Africa was a wealthy guy. He started his own business and he's done it for many years, and so he was successful, very successful. Had a beautiful home, and I think God blessed him so much because when he looked at money, he looked at it as, how can I be a blessing to others? And so he was probably one of the most generous people I know because he was always helping and sowing into other people and being generous. He would just, it was like it. So he would drive a lot. And in South Africa, sometimes you drive through these areas where there's lots of poverty, where people live in like tin shacks. They don't even, it's not even brick, it's like a tin. And it's lots of poverty, and sometimes you drive through these areas, and every now and again you'll see like a field there that's just dirt. It's supposed to be a soccer pitch, but there's just dirt there, and there's maybe 1 or 2 soccer poles. And so he saw this, and he would always be driving past these areas, and so what he ended up doing is going to the store and buying soccer balls, but really nice soccer balls. And when he gets to these areas where there are these fields, and whether there's kids playing or not, he would just go and kick the ball in there, and eventually, down the line, they'll see the soccer ball and they'll start playing with it. And that was his way of just giving without not even asking for anything in return. Sometimes we want to give and we'd be like, oh, did someone watch me give? He would give out of just that. And that's his little way, just one of the things that he was doing, just to bless these kids. And he purposely didn't buy like cheap soccer balls. He says, no, these kids deserve the good soccer balls, like the expensive ones. And so he would do it with that, and he would bless them with that. See, so when it comes to money, we will either worship wealth or worship with our wealth. He was worshiping with his wealth. Didn't worship money. He didn't feel guilty by earning money, by being successful, but he let that be. He was a vessel to worship with his wealth. And so that's what he did. And so I've got this picture. I was in corporate for many years, so I put together a picture for you guys, and we're going to go through it. And so we make decisions based on what we value or treasure, right? And so there's our beliefs, our values, our priorities, our behaviors, our habits, and then our character. And so these are, if you forget anything today, I want you to just remember this, that our value shapes our priorities, our time. So what do we spend our time on? What do we prioritize in our life? And that will kind of shape our values shape that. And I'll give you an example. So we went to the Bucks game on Friday night. We got given some seats there, and it was our first Bucks game. And so we got dressed up and we went there, and it was awesome. But I must tell you, I've been to 2 Rays games and 1 Buccaneers game, and we've lost all 3. So I don't know if I'm bad luck. I don't know if you want the team to lose. Invite me. I'm happy. But where do we prioritize? Do we prioritize the things around us that God's blessed us with? And out of that, then our values and priorities shape our behaviors. What do we do? It almost works backwards. If you watch someone, their behaviors, you'll see what they prioritize and what they value. Same thing with habits. And once we start doing things and we're making choices over and over again, they become habits. And so it's our time, it's our talent, it's our treasure. Where do we spend our time? If I watch you and I see where you're spending your time or your talents or your treasure, I will know what you treasure. I'll know what you prioritize. And everything that I do, this is what I'm spending my life, not perfecting, but just being aware of, is first of all, when I look at my treasure, my value, my priorities, my beliefs, all of that, before anything else, I'm a child of God. That's me when I was a little kid. I'm a child of God. I never want to lose that, friends. I never want to lose that excitement to be in the presence of my Father. I never want to lose that. Do you remember when you first started going to church, when you were young? If some of you were young, when you had that like just exuberance, and I never want to lose that. So before anything else, I'm a child of God. I'm a child of God. Never want to lose that. And then I'm a husband to Jen for 17 glorious years. I think it's pretty good. I think we're doing all right. 17 years. I'm a husband. So is my value and my priorities and my behaviors, is it focused on Jen as well? I'm a child of God, and then I'm a husband. Do I sacrifice myself for it? Do I lay myself down for it? Am I after her happiness before my own happiness? My husband to her. Then I'm a father to Luke and Cole. We dress up, we have fun. We call it Blackbeard Boys Bonding Time, BBBT. When we got a new car, I was going to change our license plates to that because it was available, but I thought that's super awkward if Jen drives it because, it's Blackbeard Boys. So I want to have fun with them because I know that my time of dress up with them and having fun when they're in the home, it's not long. Before you know it, they're out the home. And so I'm trying to have fun with them. I'm trying to do silly things with them and just enjoy themselves. And then I'm a father, and then I'm a shepherd. Then I'm what I'm due for a living. A lot of our life, we can move things around. And I get it. Life is busy. I get it. There's seasons. I get it. But a lot of a lot of things happen when we move things around. If I put my job ahead of my spouse. And maybe there's people here that aren't married or don't have kids, and that's fine. But think about the priorities. Am I putting my job ahead of my relationship with my Father? I tell you, if we get these things wrong, we lose sight. Our value's in the wrong place. Our treasure's in the wrong place. And a lot of issues in our life happen because we're not putting it in this way. My family will always be a priority over any of you. Surprise, welcome to church. They will always be my priority. If I'm sitting down with dinner with them and you phone, I'll phone you later. I'm not going to answer while I'm at the phone, while I'm dinner with them. Do you know what I mean? Remember last week I talked about eating a meal together as a family and Sabbath and all that. And so I'll get to you, but I'm going to get to them first. And sometimes I think we lose sight of that. I hope you appreciate that. You're a priority, but you're not the priority. Welcome to church. And so this is what I want you to remember. You're a child of God. You're a child. You're a husband or a wife. You're a father or a mother. And then what you do, don't let your job define you, friends. Don't let your job be a priority. Yes, we work hard. We want to work hard. We earn all we can and we work hard and we're busy. But never find your identity in it. Your identity should be found in being a child of God, being a child of the Most High King. That should be your priority. And that should be where you find yourselves. And the same thing, like Jesus is saying here, he's not saying where your heart is, your treasure is. He's saying where your treasure is, your heart will follow it. Your heart will always be found where your treasure is. And it's the same thing with, so do we put value and trust in that? It's the same thing with our relationships. If we value a relationship, we will trust that person. And so I want to ask you, do you trust me? Do you trust me? Some of you might say yes. Some of you might say no. Some of you might say, I'm not sure yet. It's still early. I maybe trust the position that you have, Warren, the position of authority that you represent, but I'm still, your accent, I still only understand like 50% of what you're saying. So I don't know about the other 50%. Maybe you're saying something really dodgy and I don't understand. So you might say, I know I had to prove my trust with you. You might be saying, Warren, I know last week you talked about how you love thrifting and everything that you pretty much own is secondhand. And I saw you last week, and then I'm seeing you this week. And those sneakers that you wear now, they look like brand new sneakers from Colombia. So I don't know if I can trust you, because you were talking about preachers and sneakers last week, and now I'm seeing you, and you've got these brand new shoes on. I don't know if I can trust you. These were a gift. A friend bought them for a husband, didn't fit, so his lost, my gain, Maybe you're thinking, I don't know. Maybe you're also saying, well, I don't know. Something was missing this morning. The chairs, they're angled now. Usually when you come up to church and you welcome us, you tell us what week we're in. You didn't tell us what week we're in. I don't know if I can trust you because you didn't tell me what week we're in. Do you guys know what week we're in? Do you know what week? What week we're in? 19. Week 19. Isn't that cool? We're in week 19. So I get it. I get it that I have to prove my trust to some of you. And I prove my trust by maybe how I shepherd, how I listen to my Father, how the fact that I'm up here, but not by him leading the church. It's not about me, it's about him. And so I get it. I have to prove my trust. And that's a journey. Happy with that. Happy with that. I'd rather that than you just let's go together. Let's chase after him together. If we had to ask the same question to God, do we trust God? Do we trust him? Maybe you think, yeah, I can, or I don't know. I don't know if I can trust him. Because the last time I trusted him, he didn't come through for me. The last time I trusted him for an answer, within a period of time, he didn't come through. And so I don't know if I can trust him. The last time I trusted him with everything, it burnt me, and so I'm suspect now. And so maybe we hold God at like an arm's length now because we don't know. But do we trust him, friends? Do we truly trust him that he's a good father, that he wants to provide for us, that he wants to bless us? Maybe we've been hurt by earthly fathers. Maybe we've been hurt by that position of authority in the past, and so that's kind of seeped into our relationship with our Father in heaven. And so we're battling with that. I want to say, friends, I want us to have victory in that. I know what it's like to be a father, and it's a hard thing, but it's such a joyful thing. I love being a father. I love it. I love being a dad to Luke and Carl. I love having fun with them and celebrating with them and seeing how they're becoming their own men, and I'm trying to channel them, and sometimes I'm like, I know I made mistakes, and I know I did something wrong, and please forgive me, but let's go after God together. And it's amazing to see their faith flourishing in them. I think God sees it the same. When he sees us, how we chasing after him, I think it pleases him so much, because he's seen just how, wow, look at what these guys are doing. Look at how they trust in me more. Look at how they're chasing after me more. Look at all that. And so that's how I want us to be. Do we see him as that? And our trusting, having our treasure is basically anything that we value above all else that motivates us into action. So whatever we treasure, it's going to motivate us into action. Maybe it's money. That we'll chase after it. We'll change our lifestyle. We'll change everything in our life to go after money. We'll make adjustments. We'll neglect things if we're chasing that. Maybe it's position or prestige or power. If that's our treasure, we're going to go after that, and we'll neglect a lot of things in our life. Maybe it's likes and followers. I don't know. Maybe we're chasing after that. Maybe we're looking after fame or attention. Or where's our treasure? And maybe some of us know where our treasure is. Maybe some of us don't. I don't know where my treasure is. I don't know. But I do know that we need to find contentment. I know that from the seduction of success to the lure of lust, there are many things in this world that's vying for our attention. I mentioned it last week. There's so much vying for our attention, especially in America. There's so much. And Jesus knew that one of the things that's going to tempt us the most is money, and that's why he actually spoke about it a lot. He spoke about it, and maybe we'll dig into that more next week, but he knows that this is something going to come face to face with temptation, about the lure of money and position and success. And he knows that that's going to be something so important. And he's saying, well, money is a tool that God uses to help us live and love like Jesus. So he knows we're going to come to the face to face with this temptation of money and serving that as opposed to serving our Father in heaven. But in all this thing, he's doing it to lead us to a deeper trust in him. That's all he's doing, friends. He wants us to trust him more. I love what Paul says it in. He says it in Philippians, and how he says it in Philippians 4, verse 11 and 12. He said, "I'm not saying these things because I'm in need, for I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstance. I know what it's like to be in need, and I know what it's like to have plenty. I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want." We need to fight for contentment, friends. We do. We need to fight for contentment. We need to be content where we find ourselves, because so much out there is wanting us to focus on a better life. If you just get that, you'll get a better life. If you just get that newer car, you've got a better life. You'll be better. You'll be content. If you just get that new thing, your life will be content. Your life will be fulfilled. And friends, it might sound like it's not a big deal, but discontentment is a small little thing that kind of seeps in. Now suddenly we start making adjustments. Suddenly we start doing things that we shouldn't do because we discontent, and maybe we start having issues and tempt us into having unnecessary debt, or doing things at work that we shouldn't be doing. Doing things outside of our family that there might be little things that kind of creep into our life if we're discontent. It doesn't sound like a big thing, but it's a slow little thing that just kind of creeps in. And so, are we content? Are we content with what God's blessed us with? Now, we need to find our contentment should be rooted in the love that the Father has for us. That's where our contentment is found. It's not found in anything else. We can enjoy the things that God has blessed us with. We can enjoy it together. But we don't find our hope and our trust in that. We find our hope and our trust and our contentment in the love that the Father has for us. And this might sound like an elusive virtue. It might sound something, well, and that's just, I don't even, how do I even begin? I don't even know how to begin with that. But I love what Paul says after the verse that I just talked to you. He says, I can do all things through Christ, through him who gives me strength. And I know it's often quoted out of context. I get it. And maybe I'll do a message on that. But he's saying in all things, when I've had a lot, when I've had a little, when I've had this and that, when I've had all these things, I've learned to be content because I can do all things through him. And so we find our contentment in him, friends, not in the things that God blesses us with. A lot of the times we're thankful to God for the blessings that he's given us. We're not thankful for him and who he is in our life. And so I wish there was one scripture that talks about money management. I wish there was, but there isn't. But we need to make a plan. So we make a plan with money and we work that plan. I've been in situations in my life where I've mentioned it last week, where I've had no money. My businesses that I was doing was failing, and so we had literally no money. And Jen was working, thankfully, but we had a friend come over, husband and wife, and they sat us down and they said, where can we cut back our expenses? We literally went through a whole balance sheet as a family, all our expenses. Where can we cut? And just to be lean so we can work our way out of that. It's we had to cut back on things. We haven't ever lived above our means. We've always lived pretty humbly, but there were still certain things there that we had to cut back for a season. And it's the same thing. I get it. I would love to offer that. If anyone here is overburdened by debt or whatever, I'll happily sit with you and help you. Not because I'm trying to nitpick certain things, but because I want to help you to get out of that. Even as a church, when we launched this church, it cost us lots of money. We needed to make sacrifices as a church. We've rode the wave out of that. And so it could just be for a season, friends. It could be for a season. I do want to say that in South Africa, it's almost easier to manage because I got paid at the end of the month, and then all my debit orders went off at the end of the month. And in America, it's like twice a month. It's so complicated. I don't know why it's so complicated, but it's so complicated. And then I get it that there's all these different things coming off at different times of the month. But what I am aware is that there's a lot more in America that's vying for your money. All those little things. Oh, this service, that service. It's all a few dollars here, a few dollars there. This max, this plus, this. Now you can get Walmart to come and unpack your groceries for you. That's just crazy to me. I don't know how that works. But you got all these services, and they don't sound like a lot. Oh, but it's only a few dollars. It's only a few dollars. But I can tell you, you'll probably be, if you subscribe to a lot of that, if you had to add it up, you'd probably be quite scared at how much it all comes to. I want to help you, friends. I want to help you. Some of us might not know where your treasure is. Look at your income statement. Look at what you spend your money on. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. It might scare you where it is. I think that's why the book of Job is in the Bible, because it shows that if our treasure is not found in him and something gets taken away, well, then our treasure will be revealed. If our treasure is in our finances and that gets ripped away from us, it will be exposed. This journey of mine and us as a family, the more I trust him in all areas of my life, with my time, with my money, with just everything, the more he's revealing himself to me all the time, which is just so amazing. I love the fact of how he just keeps coming through. He keeps sharing with me. He keeps showing himself to me. He keeps talking to me, and it's the most. I'm in the sweetest place with my relationship with the Father, and it just always like overwhelms me that I get to do this on a Sunday. It's amazing. I would be nowhere else. I would be doing nothing else than this. I love it. I love what he's doing here. I really do. 19 weeks and I love it. I love the community that he's building. The fact that we sing happy birthday to each other in a service. No one really does that. And don't expect it if it's your birthday. We might forget. I'm sorry. But don't you love the community? I love the community that he's building here. I love it. Continuing in the Sermon on the Mount, he talks just a few verses after what we read at the beginning about where your treasure is. He mentions in Matthew 6:33, he says, "But first seek the kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you." I'm learning that there is a difference between being seen and being known. I think for a long time in my Christian walk, I didn't know God. I went to him if I had a problem. I went to him if I needed a prayer answered. I went to him and, Lord, I don't know if you remember me. I spoke to you. Can you help me answer this? Could you show me where it is? I didn't have a true relationship with him. And God's a loving Father. He's worthy. He's a good Father, and He wants to bless us. And He wants to bless us, but He wants to have a relationship with us. I'm so encouraged what He's doing in me as a child of His. Yesterday we came as a family to the church just to set up for today, and the family left, and I was just here with my father, and I had a worship song on. It's probably my favorite song at the moment, Nothing Else. Don't know if you've heard it, by Cody Carnes, and it wrecks me every time. I was here, right here on my knees, just praying. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters, friends. I was there praying like, Lord, expose things in my life, expose a treasure that's in my heart that needs to get exposed. If there's something in there that I'm holding on to it, expose it and help me to release that treasure, because the only treasure I should find is in Him. And I was praying for all of us here. I actually went over every chair and prayed over the chairs and saying, like, Lord, if there's treasures in our heart that only we know about, expose it, because the only treasure should be found is Him. That's where our heart should be, is in Him. I was just in tears because I'm saying nothing else matters. If He strips all this away, nothing else matters. Before I'm a father, before I'm a husband, before any of that, I'm a child of His, and I'm chasing after Him, and I'm leaning on Him, and that's what my hope is for everyone here this morning, friends. In the first service, in this service, that's been my hope is for all of us, is that things, maybe there is a treasure in our heart that we don't even know. Expose it, Father, as hard as that is sometimes, because, friends, I know that if there's an idol in our heart, and it gets exposed, it's uncomfortable. I know. There's been idols in my heart that He had to release over years before I came here. And so I know that it's hard. But I tell you, friends, if you trust Him and if you find your treasure in Him, everything else will be added. How you manage your time, how you manage your money, all of that will be added, because we find our treasure in Him. If we find our treasure in Him, friends, all of that will be fine. In the song, it says that nothing else matters. And He even says in the song, I'm sorry when I've made it more than that. I'm sorry that I've been like Jesus plus something else. I'm sorry when I've made it about everything needs to work and all this. No. I sometimes love it when things don't work on a Sunday, when the video don't work or this doesn't work. I sometimes enjoy it because it's like it keeps me humble. So I never want to be where thinking this church is about me. I always want to be like, Lord, this church is about You. It's always about You. And what a privilege it is to do it. The fact that I can share a message, the fact that Joshua can sing, the fact that there's people here always helping out and people dressing up as Sully and all these things. I get it, but ultimately we're here to find our treasure in Him. And so Joshua, you can come up while I finish praying. But friends, maybe there is a treasure in your life that needs to get exposed. And I'll walk that journey with you, friend. I'll walk it. Maybe there's an idol in there that's so deep that you can't even see it. And I was praying yesterday, Lord, reveal those things in our life that need to change. I pray that this church will always be about Him and our treasures found in Him and nothing else. Nothing else. Father, You're a good Father, and You want to bless us. I know that, Lord. I know that You want to bless us with so much. Help us not to find our treasure in You because of the blessings that we can get back, but help us to find our treasure in You because of You. Because of You, Jesus, for what You've done and what You continue to do, what You did on that cross that we celebrate, and what You continue to do in us. That's where our treasure should be, not in the things that He blesses us. That's extra, friends. I pray, Lord, that as a church that we will never lose sight of why we are here. We'll never lose sight of the treasure that's found in You and You alone, Jesus. That You alone are our treasure. You alone is where our heart should be. That hole in our heart, in the deepest part of us, that only You can fulfill that. And friends, I know we can chase other things. We can try and find contentment in the world around us, but nothing will satisfy other than this love that Jesus has for us. And friends, I know that even now He's been speaking. I know that the Holy Spirit's been speaking to people this morning. He spoke in the first service to people and revealing things. And I trust Him that He's speaking now to us. Maybe even while I was sharing, maybe now while we're praying, something might have been revealed of where your treasure is. And it's tough. And you don't want to make that adjustment. You don't want it to be exposed. Maybe even right now you said, Lord, please don't reveal that. That's just my secret. I don't want anyone to know about it. I don't want it to be revealed. I don't want to. It gives me comfort. And friend, I just want to say to you that ultimately your comfort is found in Him, not in anything else. Nothing else matters, friends. Nothing else matters. So Father, help us to just, as you continue to speak to us this morning, I pray that our treasure will be found in You, in nothing else. We love You, Father. Help us to never lose sight of what You are doing in us individually, in us as a church, Lord. I'm so grateful that 19 weeks in, Lord, that You're always revealing Yourself and that You are building something here, Father. That's Your kingdom. And I'm so grateful that I get to be one small part of that, Father. I want to find my treasure in You. I want to continue to find my treasure in You. Lord, help me never to lose sight of that. Help us never to lose sight of where our treasure is. So, Father, we thank You. We thank You for this morning. We just pray, Lord, that as we continue the week ahead, Lord, that You will bless us and keep us. Will Your face shine on us, Lord, and will you continue to speak to us, Lord? We thank You. We pray this in Your name. Amen.
Before our usher team comes forward to receive our tithes and offerings and response cards, here's a few important things happening with our CE family.
Life groups are fun, supportive groups of people where you can find healthy relationships, deepen your connection with God, and serve with others. It's a great place to meet others who want to experience life together through Christ. To discover more about life group opportunities at your campus, write groups on the back of your response card. As our ushers come forward to collect our response cards and receive our tithes and offerings,
our CE mission is to help more people experience a full life in Jesus Christ. This mission is generously supported through the faithful giving of our CE family. If you consider Church Experience your church home, we want to ask you to significantly invest your finances into consistently moving God's mission forward. By setting up online recurring gift through the CE website, we are playing a big part in ensuring people consistently experience a full life in Jesus Christ every single week. Visit the givings page of our CE website to quickly and easily set up automatic and recurring gifts that will consistently impact many lives all year long. Thank you so much for your faithfulness in giving to God through CE.
Please stand and join us in a closing song of worship.
There's power in the name of Jesus. There's power in the name of Jesus. There's power in the name of Jesus to break every chain, break every chain, break every chain. There's power in the name of Jesus. There is power in the name of Jesus. There is power in the name of Jesus to break every chain, break every chain, break every chain, to break every chain.
I had the best time today, worshiping and learning with you. You may have made a commitment during the service, and we'd love to have you reach out to us. If you have any questions, comments, prayer requests, go to churchexperience.com/connect or scan the QR code on the screen. Want to get even more connected? Check out our CE social media, Instagram, Facebook, website, or app. Or go ahead and hit that subscribe button right here. What a great day it's been. Can't wait to see you next week.